Welcome to the Generation Cedar podcast. I'm Kelly Crawford, wife and homeschooling mom to 11. You have come to the right place if you crave to live and parent with purpose and need encouragement and inspiration to do your most important job, raising kids for the kingdom. Join me here every other Monday for your short, powerful shot in the arm. Let's dive into today's episode. Before I began homeschooling some 23 years ago, I was a high school English teacher. And just like we were programmed to think, and when I say we, I really mean all of us, teacher or not, the good students were the quote, smart kids, and the others would just have to somehow get by in life. That was my thinking. And it was many years into our homeschooling that I discovered I had a terrible misunderstanding about people and about what it means to be educated. And I realized that misunderstanding had far reaching negative implications because I had hurt some of my students, thinking I was helping them. And I had even hurt some of my own kids in the same way in our homeschool. So several years ago, I wrote a post called An Open Letter of Apology to My High School Student. And while I did have one particular student in mind, it could have been written to so many. As you listen, I hope it encourages you to see education as a bigger idea than schooling. There's a difference. My heart is to overturn our ingrained ideas about what makes a child successful and embrace a larger view that includes all different kinds of geniuses. I changed his name, of course, to protect his identity, but this is what I wrote. Dear Jacob, I taught you in English class when you were 18 years old, and I owe you an apology. In fact, all your teachers do. I bought the lie, and I lied to you, and it had a profoundly negative impact on you. I told you that since you weren't interested in dissecting Shakespeare, you wouldn't amount to much in life. Oh, I didn't say it in those exact words, but close. I remember taking you into the hallway. I know you remember it too. Shame on me for shaming you. And telling you that successful people pay attention and do well in class and study and make good grades. Your eyes filled with tears because that news must have been a crushing blow. I can't imagine being told that if I didn't paint as well as the others in my art class, I wasn't as good as them and doomed to a life of failure. That's what we're all brainwashed to believe. That's what the, quote, smart people say, and no one really sees how stupid it is. That grades are what makes someone successful? How were we even convinced of such nonsense? You were smart. You were smart in 100 ways, but we used our tiny little measuring stick in our tiny little boxes, and the ones who refused to jump through our tiny little hoops were made to feel dumb. Thousands of children still suffer every day the way I made you suffer. You knew back then what I refused to see, that there is nothing normal or productive about forcing energetic, curious boys to sit in desks all day and force feed them Chaucer. Some are even being drugged to sit there. Perfectly wonderful boys, sedated to act like something they aren't, to waste valuable time on a lecture they won't remember when they could be learning so much more, stuff that will really give them a good life. I can't believe we sit by and let it happen. And I would insert there that I'm not referring here to children who have been diagnosed with ADHD. I have seen children, simply because they were a little too energetic, be prescribed medication without any diagnosis. You didn't need Chaucer. You needed freedom. You needed to work with your hands and do what you were good at to improve those skills that were uniquely yours and uniquely wonderful and just as important as writing essays. And you needed us to tell you that, to say that there are 1,000 ways to be smart. Some people do love Chaucer, and some people love taking a car apart and putting it back together. Both of those things are good and needful and should receive equal attention and affirmation. We told you it was good and normal to be isolated from real life all day in small cells, requiring permission to even go to the bathroom. You were a man, and you couldn't go to the bathroom unless I let you. We used bells to program you to stop and start on command, essentially saying that nothing is worth pouring your time and energy into until it's finished. We told you we were the experts, and we defined success, and we got to stamp your card for life to tell the world you were either a good student or a bad student. Jacob, I am so ashamed to have claimed to be helping children, all the while hurting you and so many others. You survived, despite our efforts to keep you confined within that box. That's what the human spirit does. But I'm sure you would have been so much better off without us. Well, I'm different now, Jacob. I fight in my little corner of the world for people like you, for people like my own children, for the majority of children who are having their creativity, their originality, their unique gifts and interests crushed by those they trust. Please forgive me, and don't buy the lie. I was wrong. They are wrong. If this resonated with you, if you are thinking about homeschooling or you are a homeschooling parent, we have to be careful not to do the same thing that so many have done in the classroom, like I described in this letter. And as I mentioned, it's my passion to overturn that. And I just finished my new mini e-course, How to Take the Stress Out of Homeschooling. But in that course is precisely more details and more practical ideas about how to embrace this idea of the difference of an education and schooling. And I think it will be so freeing to you and so helpful. You can grab it at my website in the store, and I would love to hear how it has helped you. Thanks so much for listening today. Hey, I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me through my blog at generationcedar.com or catch me on Facebook or Instagram. Tell me what has helped you, tell me what you'd like to hear, or just tell me your story. Until next time.